The motor vessel Georgios. The Coast Guard Cutter Sherman, along with the USS Stedham and USS Paul F. Foster, were deployed to the Persian Gulf in early 2001 to enforce UN sanctions against the country of Iraq for uh, smuggling, for exporting crude oil, and we were there to deter smuggling of that crude oil out of the country, and also to enforce the southern no-fly zone for the country of Iraq. And we were, at the time, it was mid-April, and we were operating in the southern part of the Persian Gulf, and we had just finished up with the motor vessel Zainab, which was smuggling Iraqi crude, nearly 4,000 tons of it. And as we were bringing it to a holding area, it sank, and the crew scuttled it, and so it went down. But I'll put a link to that if you want to see the Zainab sinking. But anyways, right after that, we started trailing two suspected smugglers who were kind of hugging the Iranian coast, making their way to the Straits of Hormuz. And then once they got out there, they would just break off to wherever they were going to go. And so we started following them, and obviously we're in the Persian Gulf in international waters, and they're in Iranian-controlled waters. And Iran didn't officially condone the smuggling, but they didn't condemn it either. And so they would let these smugglers go use their territorial waters as long as it benefited them. And you can see as we start getting towards the straits, as things start choking off, and a matter of fact, I'll put a picture of the Persian Gulf in right now, and we're operating right down Straits of Hormuz, where you'll see two red dots where it says Kade Jah holding area and where Zainab sank. So I'll put that in right now. And so as we were heading out the straits, heading towards the straits, the Iranian gunboat came out to have a look at us, and kind of keep us. It got in between us and the motor vessel Georgios, so we couldn't try to board her or get her out into our waters, into Persian Gulf waters. And I'll post a video. I'll post a link of that Iranian gunboat coming out to us, and then we followed them out of the Straits of Hormuz, and then we were going to pounce on them because then they were in international waters. They were in the Gulf of Oman. Well, as soon as they got out, it was the motor vessel Georgios and the motor vessel Kade Jah, and they split and they went separate ways. And so we had to make a determination which one we were going to follow. And the captain decided to go after the Georgios first and put a boarding team on her, and then he was going to go chase the Kade Jah. So that's where I came in. Is we came up on the motor vessel Georgios. We tried hailing her. She wouldn't respond. She threatened to blow herself up if we put a boarding team on her. She had a false name painted on her stern, and so obviously she was, doing something illegal. But I was with the boarding team, and I'll put a video in right now of me preparing to go on this boarding. It was kind of a last-minute thing. I really wasn't a dedicated boarding team, part of a boarding team party. I mean, I was a senior enlisted on board this cutter at the time. I was a mast chief in E9, and I was in charge of the engine room. And I did do health and well-being boardings with the chief corpsman and the third class corpsman, who would go on board vessels and make sure that there was no health issues, they had enough food. And so I did a lot of that, but I didn't do really law enforcement boardings. But at this point in the game, our boarding parties were spread all over the Persian Gulf. We had people on I think 4 or 5 different vessels, so we were thin. And so I got the call, and I knew I was going to be over there for a while. So I'll post this video right now of me going into or getting prepared to go over on the motor vessel Georgios.
thing is have to have boarding glasses on, because I get stuck over there for a few days and don't have to worry about no contacts. Next thing is a bulletproof vest with a knife guard. I guess we're coming up on it here pretty quick, and we have another contact after that we're going after. ID card just in case we get stuck someplace. Now we have the all-important camera. Knife just in case, candy, toiletries, socks, socks and underwear just in case you get stuck to that wall. Load my life vest up, and then that'll be it, and I'll be on my way. So, going over to the vessel Georgios.
So after I got ready, I made my way up to the armory and checked out my Beretta 9mm pistol, and made it up to the flight deck with the rest of the boarding team, and we all locked and loaded our weapons together, and then made it over to the small boat and headed over to the motor vessel Georgios. And you know, with all the fuss that she made about blowing herself up and everything, and evasive maneuvering, we got on her, no problem. And I'll post some pictures right now of us once we got on board. And you can see there's a couple of boarding team members are up on the pilot house, up on the bridge wing. One's in the pilot house with one of the crew members, and a picture of me up forward inspecting some of the compartments, looking for anything unusual, any stowaways. And yeah, we ended up staying on Georgios overnight into the following day until Sherman made it back down. She had went up and seized the motor vessel Kade Jah and came back down, and we had kind of been steering a course to meet her. And then all three of us went back in through the Straits of Hormuz and down to the Khazar holding area, and we turned the crew over of the Georgios, the crew and vessel, over to the USS Michener, because we were getting ready to depart the Persian Gulf. Our tour was over. And not long after we handed the crew over and the vessel over to the Michener, the couple of the crew members jumped off the Georgios into the water. I guess they had enough, and which is unusual because the Persian Gulf is known for being snake infested. And I mean, you could even see like balls of them in the water. And so I don't know, they must have been pretty unhappy to do that. And then just a couple weeks later, the HMCS Charlottetown had possession of the Georgios, and she started taking on water just like the Zainab, and probably the crew had scuttled her, and she sank about 60 miles off the coast of Kuwait with almost 3,000 tons of illegal Iraqi crude. So she didn't live a long life after we boarded her, but the crew survived. After she sank, the crew was taken on board, and there was two that had some medical concerns, and they were treated. But that's the story of the motor vessel Georgios. And if you'd like to read more about it, I detail this story in my book, Guard Cutter Sherman, Circumnavigation Deployment 2001. And you can get it through my webpage, www.edsemler.com, as a paperback or an ebook. It'll link you to Amazon. And hope you enjoyed that sea story of motor vessel Georgios.